bringing in some good returns. And so our work is cut off us, all of us as stakeholders. And the SOE recorded an aggregate total liability of 215 billion Ghana cedis in FY 2023, which is also an improvement of 176. The liability position has gone up, so it is worse. And so the energy sector subtotal liabilities constitute 62.9%, the largest. So the total liabilities of the energy sector, as usual, constitute the largest of the portfolio of our liability position. And then the total equity of the SOE sector stood at 102 billion Ghana cedis in FY 2023, which is a significant improvement from 69.6 billion in FY 2022. This shows a significant 46.7% improvement. So the net worth of our specified entities, to a large extent, is also good, even though we still have challenges. Yeah. Next slide, please. Now we come to the joint venture companies, the JVCs. Again, you would also see that the effects of 2022 had significant impact on our JVCs as well. And so they also saw a dip in their cost recovery in 2022, but in 2023, it rose above 1.0, which showed that the JVC sector was also able to cover their cost of operations in year 2023, which is also impressive. And this resulted in a revenue generation of 33.8 billion in 2023, which is a 5.2% improvement over 2022. And core revenue constituted 95.5% of total revenue. It shows that indeed the JVCs are making good use of the mandates and the objects for which they were set up and generating more from their core operations. And the total expenses of JVCs was also 27.4 billion in FY 2023, and the operating expenses represented 84.6% of total operating revenue, and therefore it means that a cost recovery ratio of 1.03 was realized. And so this is also a good and impressive performance that gives us hope. Next slide. Again, profit before interest and taxes. We saw that in the JVC sector, they also suffered same fate in 2022, where they recorded a profit before interest of negative 990 million, but this improved to a little above 1 billion in 2023, showing impressive cost recovery. And profit after tax, also, which was negative 1.5 billion in 2022, reduced marginally to negative 1.3 billion in 2023. It also shows that there is a marginal reduction in losses, and with the aiming towards breaking even to be able to return to profitability. And so you would realize that the communication subsector was the main driver of the loss position, while the financial and allied subsector was the main driver of the profit position in FY 2023. All right, next slide. The assets and liabilities and equity position of the JVCs. It also showed similar trend. 51.3 billion in FY 2023, which is a 21.1% improvement over FY 2022 of 42.4 billion. And again, the financial and allied services sector contributed close to 77% of the total asset position, followed by the agri subsector, and then it followed by the communication and transport logistics in that order. The total liabilities of the sector also stood at 47.3 billion, and this is compared to 39.664 billion in FY 2022, representing a 19.25% increase. So a 19% increase in liability position against a 21% increase in the asset position would ensure that the net worth of the JVCs was still intact, and so the net worth was also intact in the JVC position. Next slide. Now we come to the minority interest. So you would realize that, like the narrative goes, because the minority interest, government has little controlling interest and is dominated by the private sector, there is some significant improvement in operations over the period. That's what we have realized. And so it is evident also here that even in 2022, where the SOEs and the OSCs were recording cost recovery of under 1, the minority interest entities had a cost recovery of 1.1 and sustained same in 2023. So it shows a strong and impressive financial and operational performance in that sector, and it's something that the SOEs and the OSCs also need to emulate so that we can get the growth that is needed. So the sector posted an average revenue of 129 billion in FY 2023, which is 49.6% increase from 86.3 billion in FY 2022. Again, the total operating expenditure was 102 billion in 2023, and then a gross profit of 28.4 billion and a gross margin of 23.32%. So these performances resulted in the ratio, cost recovery ratio of 1.1 in FY 2023. Impressive performance from that sector. Next slide. Again, we look at their profit before interest and tax and profit after tax. So you would realize that the mining sector had 15.3 billion, representing 93.1%, and profit after tax was 545 million, representing 33.27%. It gives a signal about the tax-paying compliance of the mining sector over the period in question. And we saw the manufacturing sector also posting same, 504 million Ghana cedis, 3.1%, and the profit after tax 348 million Ghana cedis. And the financial and allied sector 619 million Ghana cedis PBIT and 745.21 million cedis profit after tax. You would realize that additional income from other investments constituted that rise in PAT. So this is also the position of our mining and minority interest JVCs. Next slide. The total assets and liabilities and equity position of the mining and minority in 2023 also gave us this trend. Asset value of 281 billion Ghana cedis, which is 71.6% improvement over FY 2022. And the mining sector, as usual, constituted a little above 82% of the asset position, followed by the financial and allied services and then the manufacturing subsector. The total liabilities of the sector stood at 96 billion at the end of financial year 2023. This resulted in a net worth of the sector at 184 billion in FY 2023. Next slide. OSC, so these are your regulators, the authorities, the commissions, the agencies. And here, we are looking at income versus expenditure. These are not profit-oriented. So we're looking at income versus expenditure. And you also realize that they also suffered the same fate in 2022 due to the harsh effects of our macroeconomic environment. But in 2023, there is a rise, even though it is still under one, which means they could not cover their costs. But there is some significant improvement. And this is evidenced by improvement in revenue substantially and then moderate control of costs. And so you see revenue improved by 41.47%. Subventions from Ghana constituted 19% and IGF 68%. So you realize that our OSCs relied more on the monies that they generated themselves and less from government subventions in the period 2023. And grants and other income also constituted 13%. And so you see that the expenditure pattern of 44.3 billion compared to 83.0 billion in FY 2022. So there was a 46% decline in total operating expenses. So an increase in revenue and a decline in operating expenses would push your cost recovery a little bit high up. And we are hopeful of hitting the 1.1 so that we know that we are on the path of recovery for the OSCs as well. Next slide. So the surplus and deficit position, I'm sure the visuals would bear witness to what happened in the year 2022, where we had about negative 60 billion net deficit in FY 2022. And I'm sure all of us are familiar with the position of our central bank in the period under review and the effect it had on FY 2022. But in 2023, there was significant improvement in reduction of the net deficit position. And so you realize that it improved from 60.4 billion net deficit to 7.2 billion net deficit. That is a share over 50 billion reduction in net deficit position. And so this also showed that there is indeed a path of recovery that we see ahead of us. Next slide. Again, the asset and liability position of our OSCs in financial year 2023, 193.9 billion Ghana cedis, which is a 15% increase in the total assets of 168 billion in FY 2022. Now, the total liability position was 227 billion in FY 2023, which is a 17.89% increase in FY 2022. And so, because of that, you would realize that the accumulated fund position of the OSCs, though it's improved, but you realize that there is still a struggle because of the sheer size of the net deficits that were recorded in 2022 and the efforts to reduce it in 2023. And so we monitor that space also to see that recovery from our OSC sector. Next slide. So in 2023 SOR, we put in additional chapters. We had a chapter on the performance contracts that were signed with our specified entities in the period 2023. And so we put together the high-level data analysis of our performance contract to show what we have seen so far. Next slide. Great. And so what you see here is the overall performance index of our specified entities that were evaluated in FY 2023. Now, you will see that over the period, we have realized that the average performance index of our specified entities has been improving on a scale of 0 to 5, 1 to 5, with 1 being unacceptable, 2 being poor, 3 being average, 4 being good, and 5 being excellent or outstanding. This is how we rank or grade our specified entities. So you realize that the average performance index in 2020 was 2.566, less than average. 2021, 2.737, a little increase. 2022, 2.839, marginal increase. And in 2023, for the first time, we crossed the average threshold. That is 3.046. And this was also evidenced by further analysis that we realized that the minimum performing index score among the entities that were evaluated also kept improving, whilst the maximum, the highest performance index score also kept improving. We also realized that more than half of all the entities that were evaluated had a score of greater than 3. So it shows that indeed the performance contract is bringing in some gains. Efficiency and productivity is now being realized. And it is this performance that's translated in the reduction in net losses as seen in the 2023 State Ownership Report. And so we are happy about this outcome, and we look forward to working with you to improve upon it. Next slide. We picked a couple of data from our SOEs on climate smart investments. And so we also begin to realize that entities are not so much averse with climate smart issues. And so we are going to work with our specified entities and other stakeholders going forward to sensitize them on the need to imbibe climate change and climate action activities in their operations. It is the new order of the day, and the earlier our specified entities also told that line, the better it is for the country. And so going forward, we are going to come to you and engage you more on environmental sustainability issues and climate smart investments so that we can report and get policy directions and actions along that line. So we realized that majority of investment that were done in 2023 were focused more on mitigation, reducing the carbon footprints, improving our carbon penetration, so that we are going to reduce greenhouse gases, while significant number of entities, few of them were geared towards building resilient operations so that they can withstand the effects of climate change. And so we are going to monitor them along these adaptation and mitigation lines to ensure that we are helping our specified entities to improve and be resilient in their operations in future. Next slide. I think that's the final slide, or the last batch one. We also collected data on gender to see how our women are also playing their role and participating in decision making in our specified entities. And we realized that female participation at the board level was significantly higher. Let's go to the next slide. That is where I like that slide. Yes. So overall board presentation, female representation was 26%. And so we decided to look around and see if we can get any industry data to benchmark. And we realized that there was this board diversity index that was published by the stock exchange. reporting on female inclusion in boards of entities that are listed on the stock market. And we realized that the number of females on such boards were 25%, and that of our public enterprises is 26%. So we have been able to see at least something that we can benchmark ourselves with, and look forward to working with policymakers to ensure female inclusion at the highest decision-making level, so that we can get that gender balance and parity. Merit-based gender initiative. Next slide, please. On that note, I thank you, sir. My work is done. My work is done. The detailed report is available on SIGA's website and several portals. It catalogs all the entity performance of all 147 entities. So you can pick yours, read your entity, understand what went on, engage us, and let's talk more. Let the nation read and see our performance. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm sorry I had to be out to welcome the president, but I had to be called in to come and continue the program, so our board members are going down to join the minister to welcome the president. We would now proceed to allow some questions on the presentation, and then the presenter will provide further responses. When the president comes in, we'll break, and then the program would officially commence. But whilst doing that, permit me to recognize a few personalities that in the initial introduction I decided to reserve for now. In SIGA, I am in charge of operations. I have my colleague who is Madame Alexandra Toto. She is in charge of finance and admin. Please give us a wave. We are also fortunate to have our former General Manager of Finance and Admin, Mr. Andrew Frimpong. He's here with us. He served with Honorable Asabi. We also have the former MD of ECG, who is currently the technical advisor on energy at SIGA, Dr. Ajibambudu. Don't forgive me. Okay, so at this point, we would open the floor for questions. We've presented to you the 2023 SOR highlight, and it tells you the global overview of the performance of our SEs and the key issues that we identify. And clearly, you can see from the presentation that the energy sector alone is a major sector that we need to focus on. A little improvement in that, improve that bottom line, even slightly, the figures will look good and the story will turn around. So we'll take some questions if there are any. I see Nanaya, Dr. Nanaya's hand up. Doc, please kindly ask your question. Kindly give her the microphone. She's the board chair for Ghana Domain Name Registry.
Thank you, and I'd like to apologize. I hear you were calling me.
Yes.
I sat for 1 hour, you didn't call me. I get up for 2 minutes, you call me. I'm sorry, I had to go out. No. So, Stephen, I'm very impressed with the figures I see, even though disappointed. I'd like to know if SIGA has any mechanism in place to get the agencies that are not bringing up the report. What mechanism do you have in place? Because the ratio is very low when you're talking about the report submission. What is SIGA? What do you have in place to ensure that the report will be submitted within the time frame, and this shouldn't be business as usual?
All right, thank you very much. I would attempt to take that, and then when Eric comes up, if he can add to it. So our observation over the period is that some entities genuinely have challenges putting together their accounts. And we've identified some of the challenges to be, even to prepare their management account is an issue. Maybe because of the personnel that they have do not have the capacity to do so. So what SIGA is working on is to work with the entities to look at capacity building for their finance team to be able to at least prepare the management account. Once that account is prepared, that is when the Auditor General comes in with an auditor to do the audits. So we will be coming to you as we get along to ensure that that capacity is given to the entities. And then we also remind you of the fact that the PFM requires you to publish your financials by the 31st of April. By 28th of February, your management account should be ready. By 30th of April, your audited account should be ready. This is enshrined in the law. So anytime you breach it, you are breaching the law. So what SIGA is going to do is we are going to assist you to be able to meet these deadlines, but it is your responsibility. We are only giving you that kind of support. And if you also have any inherent challenges that you think that SIGA can assist you do, kindly reach out to us and we'll provide that assistance. But next year, we are hoping that no entity defaults in submitting the financials. Please, shall we be upstanding as the President comes in? Shall we be
Thank
seated?
you.
Thank you very much for that melodious voice. Your Excellency, I welcome you to the 2024 stakeholder engagement of the State Interest and Governance Authority. So whilst waiting for you, Your Excellency, we decided to do a presentation on the 2023 SOR, where we presented a report on the financial performance of all our specified entities. At this juncture, Jerry Ajololo to take over from me. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much. Our gathering this afternoon is unto God Almighty who has made this possible. Receive with me now the Reverend Dr. Nanaya Tina O. Suprempe for a word of prayer. Once the President comes, we pray together.
Good afternoon, everybody. Shall we pray? Dear Lord Jesus, we want to thank you, bless you, honor you, and glorify your beautiful name for blessing us with life. We thank you for this beautiful gathering. As we gather to ponder, oh Lord, grace this occasion with your presence, oh Lord, and give us all that pertains to life and godliness. Thank you for the life of our president, the vice president, and all the leadership here. We give you glory, we bless you. In the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, the Son of the living God, reign in this place. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Amen. Thank you.
On this note, SIGA will give an offering this afternoon. Thank you very much, the Reverend Dr. Nanaya Tina Owusu Prempe. Seven years ago, Free SHS was launched to grant access, equity, and quality education to the children of Ghana. A game changer in this quest. This morning, a shining example of a successful state-owned enterprise, GOIL, commissioned the African Bitumen Terminal to produce world-class bitumen in Ghana. It's a beautiful story of innovation, self-reliance, import substitution, and value for money for all our stakeholders. One name runs through all these developments. He is the President of our Republic, the bold leader of progress. Make welcome formally Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, our guest of honor. My name is Jerry Ajololo, and on behalf of the Director General of SIGA, together with the management, I'd like to say a very good afternoon to you all and to thank you for attending to our call once again. Time is fast spent, and so we shall zoom straight into the agenda. Ours is a very packed agenda, but we shall try and make it very lively to keep all of us interested and awake. Let me now yield the floor to the Director General of SIGA, a man whose untiring efforts has made ours a country which is counted amongst many countries where success of our state-owned enterprises is celebrated. Make welcome Mr. John Bwedu.
Thank you very much, MC. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And your name, maybe with time, will be changed to Free SHS. We just landed at St. Peter's, and the crowd, the applause. I think we should give it up to him. We should give it up to him. Minister for Public Enterprises, Honorable Joseph Kujo, MP for Efia. Deputy Minister of Finance, Honorable Stephen Amwa. And he's better known as Tika. He's the MP for Ishiaso as well. I can see some other honorable members of parliament here. Chairperson and members of the board of SIGA. Chairpersons and members of the governing boards of specified entities. Chief executives and heads of specified entities. I can see some of our development partners here, particularly the World Bank, AFD, well represented here. We are friends. We are friends from Namibia. In 2 months, they visited not only SIGA, Ghana, but SIGA in particular. This is their second time of being here. This time with a very big delegation, over 10 people, to continue the initial relationship that we started. Friends from Namibia, let me see you. Let me see you around. Yeah. Honorable Samuel Boateng, his untiring efforts to ensure that this flagship program of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is established. I have my brother, Honorable Edward. He is His Excellency and President Wahao. Edward Boateng with us. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you. It's a great pleasure and honor to welcome you all to the 2024 stakeholder engagements under the theme 5 years of championing specified entities, governance and growth, challenges and way forward. This theme will serve as the foundation for our discussions and activities for these 2 days that will be here. As we commemorate our 5th anniversary, on behalf of the board and management of SIGA, I wish to begin by expressing our deepest appreciation to His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana, for his vision of getting SIGA established and for his enduring support in the work and growth of SIGA. This is attested by his presence, continuous presence in honoring of our programs. And today, if I tell you what we've been through before getting here, you really know that SIGA is at the heart of His Excellency the President. We are honored to have you on our side and in our midst today. Thank you very much, Mr. President. We also wish to acknowledge the invaluable support of Honorable Joseph Kujo, Minister for Public Enterprises and MP for Efia constituency, for his guidance and dedication in advancing our shared objectives of enhancing accountability and performance in specified entities for the development of our dear country. And Mr. Kujo, it looks as if we almost share the same ideas all the time, but his untiring support is massive to us. Our gratitude also extends to all sector ministers and respective deputies for fostering synergy in the management of the specified entities. Our special appreciation goes to the Minister for Finance and the Deputy Minister ably represented here, and staff in the Public Investment and Assets Division, PIAD of the Ministry of Finance, that we work closely with. Our former Director Generals, Honorable Stephen Samuel Boateng, Asabi. I remember I was here when he was having the last program with you, and I saw the joy, the mixed feeling, the love that you showed to him. Clearly shows. In other jurisdictions, if a leader like that is leaving, then you'll be praying, oh, you should go, it's taking far too long. But you didn't. It clearly tells you the kind of work that he did for you. And I think that it's important we acknowledge his presence. And every now and then he asks me, when are we having the meeting? And I know he may have come here very early today at Samuel Boateng, SIGA, yesterday, Okay, he said to the end. We thank you, and our able Honorable Edward Boateng has also continued the good job that Honorable Samuel attended. After our able partners, they, in collaboration with the vision of our president, made sure SIGA was established, and they've continued to support us. I think that the little we can do is to continue to thank them and also ensure that we continue to collaborate with them to make sure that going forward we are able to achieve what we set out to do. As we commence today's proceedings, I would like to briefly highlight some of the significant achievements SIGA has attained over the past 5 years. A detailed presentation on our journey thus far will be delivered later in the program. I don't know whether some has been said, but suffice to say that we've been able, as part of our mandate, launch successfully the Code of Corporate Governance for specified entities and public service organizations in Ghana and the state ownership policy. This we did with PIAD and the Ministry of Finance, we did with Public Service Commission and all other stakeholders to ensure that this policy sees the light of the day. And it is not just about the financials of our entities. We are also looking at the environment. We are also looking at how sustainable our institutions will be. And we are also looking at gender parity in order to ensure that we develop as a group together and not one side developing bigger than the other. And President gracefully graced the occasion to launch this all-important document for us. We've also strengthened our performance contract management, and most of you are aware that our contract management with you at the beginning of the year have increased. If you check the records, as of 2016, only 16 entities out of 175 signed contract performance contract management agreement with DENSEC. As of 2020, it has increased to 20. As of 2023, as we are preparing the state ownership report, it has increased to 79. And we hope that by 2025, all other entities that have not been able to be part of this wonderful arrangement of checkmating our entities will be part of this arrangement. We've also, within the short 3 years, improved on our financial reporting and compliances. Mr. President, it's important to note that over the years before the inception of SIGA, it was difficult to have our entities reporting on their activities. As early as 2016, only 16 of our entities reported both audited financial statements and that of management accounts. And it's quite strange to recognize that out of the 16, only 2 of these out of the 16 reported on their audited financial statements. So I can see that when the NDC was launching their manifesto, the former president was trying to say that, so those times the SOEs were making profit. He didn't know what was really happening. Because 16 out of 175, and out of the 16, just two had filed their audited financial statement. Mr. President, I can report to you that as at May 2020, and this is a record, Mr. President, as at May 2023, 147 of your entities had filed both their audited financial statements and management accounts. And even out of the 147, Mr. President, 60 of them filed their audited financial statement, and 87 filed their management account. And it is also so because, Mr. President, because we insisted that they should comply with the DFM Act, they should comply with the Companies Act. If not, as we speak now, if we check, Mr. President, you realize that more than 100 of our entities have filed their audited financial statement. And this is an impressive thing that we've seen. It is because of that now Public Accounts Committee, if you listen, those times when we listened to Public Accounts Committee, it was financial statement of 5, 6, 8 years. Now they go there 2023. Those who don't comply at all, just 2022. It is because of that somebody came before the Public Accounts Committee and some wrongful money was transferred into the account, and he was like, "Oh, he chopped the money." And because it was just last year. If it had been 5 years ago, we wouldn't even remember whether he chopped the money or not. And Mr. President, that has ensured that there is less irregularities in terms of financial reporting. In 2023, according to the Auditor's General Report, there was a reduction of 41.6% of irregularities between 2022 and 2026. And Mr. President, this reduction between 2022 and 2023, and the total amount of...
My DG is now getting into General Secretary mode. Please understand.
The total amount of the infraction, Mr. President, is over 14 billion. So a reduction in just 1 year as a result of compliance reduced the 14 billion irregularities to just 8 billion. And even that, he went further to state that over 90% of these infractions are recoverable. What it means that we charge the Auditor General to go ahead and report to us next year how much of the recoverables have been recovered. And it is because of the existence of SIGA. That is why we are having this timely report. Mr. President, if I should go on with our achievement within the 5 years, we may not, and I can see that I'm hungry, yes, and a lot of you are hungry, but we've done so well. So, Mr. President, this meeting, besides these activities lineup, will also culminate in the much anticipated Public Enterprise League table and its award ceremony tomorrow. This year's ceremony will also provide the platform to recognize entities that perform well in both 2022 and 2023. And this will help us address outstanding gaps, Mr. President. We will further use the occasion to celebrate individuals and audited financial statement and management account. And I can assure you, the team that I'm working with, we are going to stay current. It is not because World Bank is going to support it. It ends, Mr. President, with due receipt, it ended $1.5 million anyway for complying and making sure we meet the deadline of August after a year before. We've met it. But next year, with the capacity that we've developed, by June we should be ready with our state ownership report. That enables us to oversee what is going on in our entities. Bringing my remarks to a close, I am of the firm conviction that this forum will create the right atmosphere for the healthy exchange of ideas towards a successful SIGA that will strengthen the specified entities to make impactful contribution to Ghana's economic and social development. I encourage you all to actively participate in the discussions and contribute your insights as we continue this important journey together. Thank you for being part of this significant milestone in SIGA's history. God bless you all.
The ever passionate Mr. John Boydu, Director General of SIGA, we thank you ever so much. And so if President Mahama will not debate Vice President Bawumia, we understand that he will debate. No, there's a reason. Maybe Mr. John Boydu will be the best person to debate him. Mr. President, as alluded to earlier by our DG, we're joined by the Ministry of Finance and Public Enterprises of the Republic of Namibia. Speaking to us briefly by way of a statement, would you please make welcome the Deputy Executive Director of the Ministry of Finance and State-Owned Enterprises, who is the head of the delegation, Madame Louise Shikwameni. Okay, we shall receive that report later. We're joined now by, oh, she's here. Okay, please, a round of applause.
Your Excellency, Honorable Ministers, Captain of Industries, ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon to you. You may excuse me that I wasn't sure that this is going to happen, because I received an email saying, you might speak at our event for 2 minutes. Ended up here. This is divine. Of course, we didn't know what we put ourselves up to, because as we enjoyed the ride here today, we had a bit of an experience. Apart from the beautiful valley of Ghana, we also have very good drivers. So as we were looking, and we were like, oh God. So most of the buses have Psalm 23. And we are said, by the grace of God, we are safe. And indeed, we are here to join you. Briefly, I'm Louise Shikwameni. I head the Department of Public Enterprises in the Ministry of Finance and Public. When the leaders of those institutions are well equipped to manage those institutions. So we have an open e-recruitment system in terms of competence that are required. We could actually, electronically, public enterprises can upload their financial system. And we could immediately know about liquidity, their solvency, which one is about to give government headaches and things like that. And we do have also a couple of them. But we are still on a journey. So in 2020, our late president then did a presidential decree by saying that the ministry have to transform into a holding company. And the commercial entity should go into a holding company, and the non-commercial entity will find another institutional home, and that is what brought us here to Ghana. So when we Googled holding company, Ghana pops up and said, we need to go there. And they're doing extremely very well, and again a round of applause for the Director General of SIGA. So we are here to learn from you. I brought a powerful...
Mrs. Louise Shikwameni, Deputy Executive Director, Ministry of Finance and Public Enterprises. We're ever so grateful for those words of solidarity. At the end of this event, we will invite you and your team for an official photo with the President of the Republic. Mr. President, joining us is a man who disagrees largely with our ideology, but today has come with great endorsement for what we have achieved. I'm talking about the Chair of the Parliamentary Committee on Public Admin and State Interest. Make welcome the one, the only, MP for Peru East, Dr. Kwabena Donko.
Thank you so much, MC. Your Excellency, and I stand on all protocols established. Your Excellency, quite a rosy picture has been painted until now. And Your Excellency, I speak not as a politician, but as a Ghanaian, and a Ghanaian first. State-owned enterprises predate the Ghanaian state. PWD was a creation of the colonial government. It was responsible for electricity, it was responsible for water, it was responsible for public works. We had Ghana Railway Corporation, one of the most dynamic state institutions prior to independence and in the early years of our independence. We had the Cocoa Board predating the Ghanaian polity. And so to have equity. If you go through the 7-year development plan, you will see this. Mr. President, Your Excellency, however, this vision of our founding fathers, and indeed of your administration, has not been realized. It's not been realized, Your Excellency, largely because of poor corporate governance. In my capacity as the chairman of the Parliamentary Committee on Public Administration and State Interest, in the 21st century, we have a commercial organization, a company, a limited liability company, share management. I see them. They come before my court. The Ghana we all want to see rests on the shoulders of corporate executives. And it's not just government. The Institute of Directors are here. And yet we don't seem to have a professional class of directors in the public service. If they are there, they are not seen by their professionalism. Your Excellency, irrespective of whichever party is in government, the nation state must. And for public enterprises as a whole, 30%.
And by that, he has prophesied their score on the election. Please, a round of applause. Please, a round of applause. Oh, if we've come this far as the State Interest and Governance Authority and a shining example for people to emulate, it's because of our approach, our inclusive approach, which makes ours a case that is constantly evolving to the admiration of us all and to the benefit of all Ghanaians. Please, let's give ourselves a round of applause. Speaking to us now is the Deputy Minister for Finance. Make welcome Dr. Stephen Amoah, MP.
Your Excellency, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Honorable Minister of State for Public Enterprise. With my remarks, I must extend our deep gratitude to His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo for giving us with his presence. I may not get this opportunity again. Your Excellency, 2,400 school children within 4 years have certain facilities. It's never occurred in the history of the constituency. All the secondary schools, I'm not saying every child has a computer, but they've all been supplied with computers. We are doing second round. You've given us a van to fight insecurity, brand new. We have CCTVs. You've done so much work. In fact, in the history of Inshiaso, it doesn't matter from 92, you've been the best in terms of a leader that is tackling our road issues. So I won't get it to say it anyway. I want to say it today. I would like to express in bringing the SIGA project to fruition. To all of them, we say Ayiku. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, reaching the 5-year milestone in the life of any organization is highly significant. While it is important to reflect all the success and challenges SIGA has encountered over these years. Our focus. Permit me to reiterate a point I made during the 2024 Policy Forum in April this year. In light of the fiscal risk posed by the operations of state-owned enterprises and the government commitment to restoring and sustaining macroeconomic stability through the post-COVID-19 Program for Economic Growth, PCPEC, it is imperative that SOEs operate with the highest level of efficiency, effectiveness, and productivity. To achieve this, their operations must be underpinned by sound corporate governance. This is why His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo Ayebiafo, launched the Code of Corporate Governance for specified entities alongside the state ownership policy, both of which received cabinet approval in 2023. I would like to give this advice to the SOEs. We need not to forget about the fact that we are the key functional elements of the bigger picture of our socio-economic growth in terms of what we do in analyzing how we are going forward in the near future. I would like to say that we need to be extremely careful how we manage state resources. It is very important because I was just given the opportunity to lead the finance committee, and most of you have met me there before, and you knew some of the things, some of our people, sometimes not the law, as part. So we need to take care of that. And because of that, my minister is doing his best to make sure that, God permit, if we move on, your budgetary allocations will not be delayed. Are you not happy? Just clap for my minister. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, earlier this year, I had the privilege of participating in the Conference on Artificial Intelligence here in Accra, alongside eminent personalities such as the IMF Managing Director, Crystal.
The words of Ghana's Minister for Finance, the Honorable Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, delivered to us through his deputy, Dr. Stephen Amwa, MP. We thank you ever so much. We're joined today by the Minister of Public Enterprises of the Republic of Ghana. Would you please make welcome the Honorable Joseph Kujo, MP.
Your Excellency, you're welcome once again to a very significant SIGA program. You have always blessed us with your presence whenever SIGA has a program, and we are very appreciative of that. We are on a certain point, which I have said that 5 years of SIGA's existence. 5 years is always very interesting when it comes to corporate. 5 years is always very interesting when it comes to corporate and institutional development. Economies go through 5-year cycles, and that reflects in corporate performances. Your Excellency, companies, when we establish, typically break-even period is 5 years, or recoupment of investment is 5 years. And so when you bought the vision to turn all the state-owned enterprises portfolio together with the other state entities and the joint venture companies portfolio held by Ghana, you had put 175 specified entities into one portfolio, and in your governance restructuring, established a state interest, and the keyword is interest, and governance authority to ensure that these 175 entities would as per your vision, contribute to economic development. Your Excellency, I'm happy today we have Honorable Dr. Kovna Donko here because the transparency you have achieved for this, the level of transparency you have achieved and accountability you have achieved is only underscored by his presence in a program of this nature where you wouldn't expect maybe a governor. Your Excellency, I can say that up to that point in time you had appointed me as Minister for Public Enterprises. The records show that, as DG said, only 2 companies in 2016 audited the account. In fact, 18 prepared, but only 2 audited. So if you have a management system, you are managing state enterprises, and only 2 prepare audited account, meaning the account figures you can rely on. How can you even determine whether they are going down, they are doing well, they are still, or what? You can't, or collapsing, you won't even know. But for the restructuring you've done, it was historic for this country. And when I went to Parliament to be vetted, if we remember, the opposition, Dr. Krokradonko, I don't know whether he was, but I'll find out. They won't vet me because they were not aligned with your vision that somebody should be appointed to be a Minister for Public Enterprises. And the reason they gave was that it was a duplication of functions because every enterprise is already under a certain sector minister. And my vetting was held up for more than 2 hours, that they were not going to even vet me. Today, I'm happy at least when you do with or without analysis that in 2016, the public enterprises assembled here, CEOs and board chair assembled in here, if we were to do performance scoring in 2016, we would have only 2 audited accounts out of 175 to have done performance scoring. What would the score be, Your Excellency? I can bet that any performance assessment will score 0%. 2 over 175. But we have scored 30. We've scored, SIGA has scored 48. And for me, it's very significant. Very significant because when we look at the emerging performance, and it is continuous improvement, as we see. If you look at performance contract signing, the enterprises were not even signing performance contracts. And then we got to a point where every year, the entities that are signing performance contract kept improving. Up to now that we have exceeded 73. So, Your Excellency, one statistic that will excite you and make you believe your vision of turning the entities into profitable operations is being achieved is that 2023 state ownership report. So far as the state-owned enterprises are concerned, that's the commercial entities are concerned, 53 of them, all of them, the others, Temoya Refinery, ECG, Ghana Water, and those related, their situations, I think, deserve a special attention because they offer services. Corporate right to determine their prices. So costs are increasing and they are not able to catch up with increasing costs to price their services to reflect a way to accommodate the losses they incur, whether budgetary support for government to pay some subsidy to keep them liquid and also get improved performance and be celebrated. But all in all, the 5 years of SIGA's existence, Your Excellency, has been an amazing milestone. We all have reasons to be happy about what we've done so far. I think we've done well. I think we've done well. Nothing at all, accountability is being attained or has been largely attained. Nothing at all, accountability. Transparency has been attained. And improvement in performance, both at the governance level and operations level, as well as management level. Every reason, every indicators show that we are doing very well, and that, Your Excellency, your vision for transforming the public enterprises space is on course. I will take the opportunity to welcome the Namibian team. I had an interaction with them, and it's amazing to see with the support from GIZ what they are also doing. And I saw that our vision to, and DG, those to us, our vision to establish one dashboard, one computer screen, where you see real-time data. I got interactions with your IT team, and they came to do presentation to me on how far they've come. I was so excited that we are getting there. But Your Excellency, the destination is for us to have SIGA sitting there and all the enterprises having computerized and digitalized their operations to the extent that real-time financial reporting is achieved, compliance is achieved real-time, and for that reason, complying with the SIGA, a requirement of the SIGA Act, the Public Financial Management Act, will then be taken to that digitalized level where this is attained real-time. But your chief executives have done well, your board chairs have done well, because of the difficulty they come in from, the difficult background they have to manage the enterprises. I underscore the fact that now, as an unwritten policy, Ministry of Finance for the past 5 years hasn't been writing checks for them to support them. They are sweating their assets. They are reviewing their business mandates. They are challenging themselves and doing what they can do to attain your vision. And I think the 5 years deserves some celebration. But let me say the PELT, Public Enterprise League table, that would lead to some companies awarded and rewarded tomorrow. In fact, Your Excellency, my understanding of motivation is that you want to become first in your class. If you move from 20th position and you come to 8th position and then move to 5th position, you should start celebration because you are getting to 1st position. That is the fate of the public enterprise space today in relation to the SIGA you established. And so, my friend Dr. Kobranko, please indulge us. The companies would be rewarded and awarded and celebrated tomorrow. Those that he pointed out have not prepared accounts. The PELT award is not based on companies that prepare accounts. It is based on companies that sign performance contracts. And so you are using the performance contract as the basis, as the foundation, and the attainment of the key targets set in them is then used as the basis for ranking their performance. Once we have attained 147 company of them reported on in the SOR, the State Ownership Report.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Bonkasa. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Me cross arena to do say oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Help me say a big thank you to the Minister for Public Enterprises, the Honorable Joseph Kujo. A round of applause. Yours has been a job well done, leading us on the straight and narrow to achieve accountability, transparency, value for money, and good corporate governance among SOEs. And so, Dr. Kofna Donko has given us our score. The Minister has given us our score. What of the man who gave us the work? Ladies and gentlemen, the President of our Republic, the wind beneath our wings, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
The Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs and former Director General of SIGA, Minister for Public Enterprises and Member of Parliament for Efia, the Namibian Minister for Public Enterprises and members of her delegation, the Deputy Minister for Finance and Member of Parliament for Ishayasu, Member of Parliament for Imprayasu and other members of Parliament, Chairperson and members of the Board of SIGA, the Acting Director General, Management and Staff of SIGA, the immediate and the National Development Agenda. To appreciate fully the significance of our gathering today, it is important to reflect on the context that gave birth to the establishment of SIGA. In 2015, a comprehensive diagnostic study conducted by the World Bank on Ghana's state-owned enterprises sector highlighted several structural deficiencies hindering the optimal performance of these entities. Key among these were: 1. Fragmented and uncoordinated oversight of SOEs by multiple government bodies. 2. The absence of a clearly defined ownership framework. 3. Weak governance practices at the SOE level. 4. An outdated legislative framework and capacity constraints of the State Enterprises Commission, which prevented effective oversight of government investment and, most concerning of all, a pervasive lack of transparency and accountability. These findings underscore the urgent need for reform. Ghana's public enterprises, vital to our economic stability and growth, required a more coordinated, centralized approach to oversight and governance. Thus, SIGA was born. Proof of our resolve for comprehensive reform and the effective management of our national assets. The establishment of SIGA is also a key pillar of my administration's broader vision for building a Ghana beyond aid. It reflects the determination to build efficient, transparent, and effective public enterprises that can drive sustainable development. SIGA represents our ambition to see public enterprises operate with the highest standards of governance, integrity, and accountability, ensuring that they serve not just the immediate needs of the state, but more importantly, also create lasting value for the Ghanaian people. Amongst its many responsibilities, SIGA is charged with improving corporate governance, strengthening oversight, enhancing performance monitoring, building capacity within specified entities, and providing strategic advice to government. This ambitious agenda is crucial to ensuring that our public enterprises contribute meaningfully to the nation's development, in line with our collective aspirations for a prosperous Ghana. During the tenure of my administration, my government has laid a robust foundation for our specified entities, rooted in the principles of good governance, that is transparency, accountability, integrity, and fairness. But these achievements have not been the result of singular efforts. SIGA has worked in concert with key national institutions, including the Public Enterprise Secretariat, the Ministry of Finance, and the Public Services Commission, to develop essential policy frameworks. These include the State Ownership Policy and the Code of Corporate Governance for specified entities and public service organizations in Ghana. These documents are vital in clarifying institutional roles and promoting legal and institutional coherence, which in turn fosters collaboration, minimizes conflicts, and enhances the performance of the entities in question. The Akufo-Addo administration's reform agenda has been bolstered further by strategic partnerships with international stakeholders such as the World Bank, Agence Française de Développement, AFD, moving closer to achieving our long-term objective, ensuring that specified entities become vehicles of growth and development. I'm proud to report that the contributions of our state-owned enterprises to the nation's GDP have steadily increased from 3% in 2020 to 6% in 2021 and reaching 10% in 2020. Equally noteworthy is a significant reduction in financial losses and operational irregularities within these entities. The aggregate losses of state-owned enterprises have fallen sharply from 14.4 billion cedis in 2022 to 2.6 billion cedis in 2023. The Auditor General's report for 2023, 0.59 billion cedis in 2022 to 8.799 billion cedis in 2023, representing a 41.64% reduction. These are substantial achievements that made possible through the collaborative efforts of SIGA and national institutions, and they are worthy of commendation. This progress has not gone unnoticed. Indeed, delegations from several sister countries, including the Gambia, Liberia, Somaliland, Guinea, and Namibia, have visited SIGA on study tours to learn from our experience. These exchanges demonstrate the growing recognition of SIGA as a model institution for effective public enterprise management and governance. However, while we celebrate our accomplishments, we must not lose sight of the challenges that persist. Like virtually all nations, Ghana has faced significant external pressures, notably the global impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and the effects of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. These crises have affected our economic landscape, but we remain focused on managing what lies within our control. A critical area that demands attention is compliance. Despite the progress made, some specified entities continue to operate at a loss, and certain institutions have resisted SIGA's oversight. We must address these issues swiftly and decisively. Transparency is a bedrock upon which effective governance is built. Submitting to the oversight of SIGA and signing performance contracts is not an infringement on the autonomy of these entities. It is a necessary step to ensure that they operate in the best interests of the people of Ghana. My government's mandate has always been to leave behind a public sector that is stronger, more resilient, and more adequately equipped to meet the demands of the future. The legislative reforms we have enacted, such as the Public Financial Management Act, the New Companies Act, the SIGA Act, the Right to Information Act, and the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act, have all been designed to empower citizens to hold public institutions accountable and ensure that national resources are managed with integrity and efficiency. As I come to the end of my tenure, I call on all stakeholders to continue building on the foundation we have laid. We must continue to leverage technology to drive efficiency through our national digitalization agenda. Uphold corporate governance standards, invest in the capacity building of our institutions, and nurture strategic partnerships that create value. It is within our grasp to meet the target of 30% contribution to GDP that we have set for our specified entities. Let us commit to achieving this and more. As we reflect on our journey over the past 5 years, my hope is that we leave this forum with renewed vigor and a determination to implement the strategies discussed here. Together, we've made great strides, but much work remains to be done to secure the prosperity of our nation. The future of Ghana rests on our ability to collaborate, to innovate, and to lead with integrity and vision. To the board, the Director General, management, and staff of SIGA, I extend my deepest appreciation. You have been the torchbearers of transformation in the public sector, and your work is testament to what is possible when we commit ourselves to excellence. I encourage the next administration, God willing, the Bawumia administration, to continue to provide SIGA with the resources and support necessary to fulfill its mandate for the benefit of all Ghanaians. Let us remain resolute, unwavering in our quest to building a brighter, more prosperous future for generations to come. I want to end by thanking the Honorable Kwabena Donko, Chairperson of Parliament's Select Committee on Public Enterprises, on his insightful intervention, which we should all take to heart, including the political scores he gave. May God bless SIGA and us all, and may God bless our homeland Ghana and make her great and strong. I thank you for your attention.
Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is the proud father of all state interest and governance authorities. Please put your hands together and let's celebrate. Mr. President, if it pleases you, I'd like you to have on stage the delegation from Namibia for an exclusive photo, and thereafter we shall have with all our dignitaries on the front row. Please be seated. A round of applause as they come. The leader of the delegation, you be a minister. The The second photo will be with the Director General of SIGA, together with the Minister for Public Enterprises, the Deputy Minister for Finance, the past DGs of SIGA, and finally, subsequent photos, Mr. President, humbly I invite you down as we are joined by the ministers and our past DGs. Please come forward. I shall now invite the executive management and the board of SIGA to please join in this photo. Please spread out. Some can go to the other side. In time-held tradition of these gatherings, we shall have the 2 exclusive photos with all CEOs and board chairs outside. You'll be led out shortly. But please, a round of applause as we all take our seats. Thank you very much. Please be seated. This year's conference is made possible by the loving kindness of our sponsors, GNPC, Ghana Gas, Ghana Maritime Authority, the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company Limited, the Bank of Ghana, Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, the Minerals Income Investment Fund, the National Petroleum Authority, Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Gridco, Ghana Airports Company Limited, Cocoa Board, Tema Oil Refinery, GIPC, Gihok, TDC Ghana Limited, Ghana And right after our CEOs, our board chairs will also be led to the second area.
TV, the authentic and trusted voice of Ghana. Trusted voice of Ghana.
I'm a scat man.
School-based violence is the harmful act or omission that is carried out among members of the educational community, whether between students, parents, teachers, or staff, and it normally takes place within the school environment. Teens time, It's definitely our time here on Teens Time with me, your host, Matilda Kukubo. You're all welcome to another exciting yet educative session on Teens Time. Today on the show, we are going to be talking about bullying and other different forms of violence that takes place in schools. Violence in schools is a worldwide problem. It affects children psychologically and in so many ways, whether health-wise or any other way. Don't forget you at home can join in on our conversation through our Facebook page, Teens Time GTV, and our WhatsApp line. Our WhatsApp line is 0243 170 721. 0243 170 721. I'll introduce my guest shortly after the quote of the day. Stay tuned.
All right. You know some money no be problem. Honest on the block. Alright, I'm back again. You know what time it is. Straight up. Alright, what's up? Listen. A bunch of man that came my missy ma. Michelle she been on my throat to win you now. I come off and to chill me yam mimbuna. And we send my reason at the real day, you ma. Oh, pipe, what did I dear quit you ma? What a tema, tema for him to win in the tema.